Happy Saturday, guys. It's good to see you. This is Diamond from Diamond Shine Soap. I'm excited to see you today. Today, we are going to make a coconut dish soap. Now, guys, if you love my videos, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you do not miss what we're going to be doing on the channel, okay? Also, I want to let you know, guys, join the Patreon. That's a community with all my candle making recipes. All the recipes are there. I mean, hundreds of recipes, stuff that's actually going to work. If you want to learn how to make candles and you want to be making candles next month in this economy, you got to have yourself a side hustle going on over there. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to be doing today. You're going to need some fractionated coconut oil. You can get this from Walmart. It is very inexpensive. I mean, I don't know. I'm not even going to say that anymore. This stuff be going up. And also, you're going to need some 76 degree. And you can buy this from Walmart as well. Everything that we're going to be using in the recipe, except for the potassium hydroxide, you can get, and this is a potassium hydroxide. Listen, y'all, you cannot use sodium hydroxide for liquid soap, and I know a lot of people will ask that question, but you can't use that. And guys, today I'm going to place this recipe in my Patreon. So you're going to use some distilled water, guys. If you don't use distilled water and use, like, you know, some kind of filtered water, it's not going to come out clear. I don't use distilled water, so mine's always come out a little cloudy. If you want to use fragrance, I'm using fragrance. I'm using Sunshine and Lemons by Maple Street Candle Supply. You're going to need a good immersion blender. Make sure it's stainless steel and not plastic, because, you know, this liquid soap do take a little bit longer. Now, this liquid soap is not moisturizing at all. We won't be using any vegetable glycerin. You know, that usually will act as a humectant, and you can use that inside of your lye if you choose to. But we are using it, and we want it to be very hard, and we want it to be more like a stripping soap because we want it to actually clean, okay? So that is what you're going to get out of this soap. It's going to really give you some good cleansing properties, and also at the same time, it's going to be something that you made at home, so you can customize it, use your own fragrances, and just make it to your liking, okay? So go ahead and mix your potassium hydroxide with your distilled water, and then you're going to pour it into your pot, your crock pot. You know, doing something like this when it's this amount, because I'm using a small amount, it's best to use a crock pot. If you are just starting out, a crock pot is highly recommended. I'm using these hot plates because I've been making soap for a very long time. But when you're making it for the first time, the crock pot is the best way to go, okay? So go to your local Goodwill and get you a crock pot, or you could just go to Walmart and get you one as well, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm just pretty much just stick blending it. I'm giving it a break, come back, stick blend it a little bit more. This is one of them soaps that you just got to be very patient with. You know, you don't have to worry about it, you know, foaming up out of the pot like hot processed soap do. The only thing you have to do is you need to make sure that you don't splash it all over your skin, because it do splash up out of the pot onto your skin. So if you're making a recipe using the recipe that I gave you guys, you're going to get a very small amount. I think this make about 34 ounces, so you're not really going to have a whole lot. So it's best to use either a smaller pot or, like I said, the crock pot. So go ahead and just keep mixing it together, because we're going to keep mixing it until it comes to a paste. And just remember to take those small breaks as well. And I'm just going to show you guys the different phases and the different textures, because that's all we're doing is we're just going to keep, you know, messing with this until it comes to a paste. Now, when it comes down to the heat, you don't want to have it on super high heat, but you want to make sure that it's hot enough so that it can start, you know, really cooking. And as you guys can see, this batch is starting to form, you know, like I would say layers of coconut is starting to come on the top and come around the sides. And that means that it's cooking, that it's working, and that it's fully coming together. So if you see this, that means that you are on the right track. I want to make sure I say this throughout this process. Just make sure that you are scraping down the sides, because a lot of your product will go to the sides of the pot. And as you do notice, it is getting pretty hard, okay? After a while, you're not going to be able to use your immersion blender. You can use it, but it's just going to get so thick. And the only thing that you are going to be able to use is just your spatula, okay? Because it's going to get super thick. So at that time, you know, you just keep mixing it around, because what you're doing is You're bringing it from being liquid all the way into like a thick, solid mashed potato. And as you guys can see, we are almost there. So I just continue to just kind of cook mine on low, making sure that I didn't burn it, because if you leave it up too high, it will definitely burn on you. So just kind of cook it on low and just cook out all the lye. And the best way for you to tell if all of the lye is cooked out, and usually when you get to this phase where I'm at right now, it's completely done, but in some cases it may not be done. You know, it could be unevenly cooked. So what you do is you just take out like a little piece and you put it on your spatula, and you just pull your spatula up to your tongue. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but you could definitely do it another way by testing the pH, and you can get pH strips off of Amazon. So you just take a little tiny bit, bring it up to your tongue, put it up to the tip of your tongue, and if it zaps you, it's not finished. You want to just cook it on low and, you know, just continue to turn it around until it's finished. If it don't zap you and you just feel the heat, then it is completely finished. At that point, you want to go ahead and turn off your pot and allow it to cool down. I was just still, you know, just mixing mine around, just making sure it was completely done. But it was definitely done, as you guys can see. So now if you are using a crock pot, you can do this process overnight. If you are doing it in a pot like me, you want to go ahead and add your distilled water. Now you can do your distilled water on a 1-to-1 ratio, or you can do it with, I would say, 1 to a 1.5 ratio. Now, if you decide to use more than that, it will be too watery, and it will just, honestly, it won't be right. So you want to just use up to a 1.5 ratio. Okay, so if I'm doing 1-to-1, if it's 32 ounces, I'm going to use 32 ounces of water. And if it's 32 ounces of water, I'm going to use a half of 32 ounces. So I'm going to use 32 and then 32 divided into 2 is, so that's about 16 ounces. And so together that will be 48 ounces of water. Okay, so you can do it that way. For me, when it comes down to this, if you want it to be thicker, of course you can add Crawfix. You know, it's just so many different things when it comes down to making dish soap on your own at home. So I would say the best way to make it is to not use a whole lot of water, because then it just won't be as sudsy as you want it to be. Another thing is it will be super watery. Okay, now I'm mixing this together in the pot. Guys, this is probably going to have to sit on low for at least an hour. You're going to cover it up, and then you're going to come back to it. And so mine is completely finished, and I let it cool down, and this is how it looked. Now you can thicken this up with liquid Crawfix without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, you can do that, but for me, I'm making this for myself, for my household. I didn't want to do that, so let's go ahead and do a demo. While it's always better to use a sponge, I am using a microfiber cloth. Well, guys, if you sat through this whole video, that means you love me. So come on and join the Patreon. It's linked in the description. I will see you again for the next video. And guess what? If you sitting here and you ain't like and subscribe to the channel, I have no idea what you are waiting on. And look at this dishwashing liquid, baby. This is awesome. This is every bit of awesome. Okay, guys, I will see you guys again soon.